Hello, Geeksters! Today we're going to be talking about Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 6, What is Starfleet? A brief synopsis of the episode: the Enterprise is going to a planet to transport some livestock to another system, only they find out it's a bit more than the orders explained. The item that they're transporting turns out to be a weapon. This episode is told from Umberto Ortegas' recording while on the Enterprise. For me, this is my least favorite episode of the season so far, which is not to say it's a bad episode, just I didn't like the format of it. What did you think?
No, I didn't care for the format either. And I really don't care for Umberto Ortegas either. I find him to be a pretentious, spoiled little brat.
I thought he was cute in the first episode he showed up in, mostly because he annoyed his older sister, but as we've seen in multiple episodes now, I don't like him a whole lot.
Well, if we're lucky, we won't see him again now that the documentary is done.
That is hopeful. So, some things that I did enjoy. I really enjoyed the look behind the scenes, especially in the off hours of a lot of the crew, whether it was Spock meditating, Erica working on some sort of a machine in her off time, the Bolian birthday celebration in 10 Forward, whatever it is. I really enjoyed all of the behind the scenes stuff that when they're not on duty.
From the look of it, Erica is working on what appears to be a Triumph motorcycle, which is kind of an interesting hobby to when you're in space.
Yeah, that is true. I liked the moral decisions that they had to make. The way that the orders were given, they had to follow them even if they didn't morally agree with them, especially once they found out that Jakaru was a weapon.
Yeah, but I definitely think Pike stepped up once he realized it was not only a sentient but a thinking, feeling being.
I agree. I also like the fact that Spock and Uhura went to try and communicate it with it first, as opposed to shooting it or trying to kill it. While I understand La'an is the chief of security and her duty is to protect the ship, I think it does harken back to the classic ask questions and try to communicate as opposed to shooting first and asking questions later.
Right. And I think that was the baseline of the whole episode was no, this, despite what Umberto said, this is not a warship, even though in the beginning he really wanted to try to paint it as being a warmongering, kill everything on sight. And he he did have some growth in the episode where he did come to the realization, no, this is not Starfleet, basically pointing out to him that he really didn't know what Starfleet was.
He had that preconceived notion that they were the military, or as he liked to put it, colonizers. And while, yes, it does have defensive weapons and it can go on offense, the Enterprise and Starfleet's primary mission is to explore strange new worlds, much like the opening statements in both the classic series as well as the Next Generation and now Strange New Worlds.
And one of the things that I didn't like that Umberto was sneaking around, clandestinely filming private conversations and things that he really didn't need to be privy to. And I was glad when they threw him off the bridge.
I agree there. And he was going above a documentarian, asking very personal questions, such as, what does it feel like to kill someone? He didn't get the response he was expecting, especially when La'an refused to answer the question, and the look of discomfort on her face wasn't, I want to tell how much I love killing people, as opposed to what she expressed was, this is not good conversation. I don't want to talk about this.
Well, I really like Pike's response of, if you ever see it, it's not something you're going to want to talk about.
I agree. And Pike was the captain of the episode, and he was the most diplomatic. Especially, I loved his response to the question of have you ever broken orders or refused orders? And I can safely say that's classified.
Right. Now, one of the things that I've been waiting, because I was hoping they were going to explain at some point, but now that they have come out with Mbanga's past military experience, now that makes more sense with the eye thing that he shared with La'an, but I did not see him share that at any point with Chapel. And I think that definitely points to the fact that Mbanga and La'an were both special forces, and that's like a specific special forces recognition signal.
I agree, and that's one of those blink and you'll miss it moments. You might have to watch it again just to catch that. I liked how it added to more of the mystery of Mbenga, especially for the people not in Starfleet. The fact that his entire record was redacted, which shows that yes, he's a doctor, but he probably did some not so doctory things in his past, and that's going to raise a lot of questions for anyone that's watching this documentary outside of Starfleet.
Well, I mean, we last season, we came to the realization that he's seen some stuff in his lifetime.
Oh yeah, and he's done some things that he's not proud of. And part of me thinks that he is such a good doctor is that he's trying to redeem himself for a lot of the things that he did. He's not proud of what he did, but he knew that they had to be done, and he was one of the few people that could actually accomplish the mission.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that his call sign was the Ghost.
Yeah, that's not ominous or sneaky at all.
Right.
Unlike McCoy's name, Bones, that's definitely not sneaky at all. The episode for me was a little disjarring, especially since it was in that documentary style, flipping back and forth, showing some events from later in the episode at the beginning, especially Pike's. If you fire on one of us, you fire on all of us. You don't want to make a enemy of the Federation, trust me. If you just started that episode or that documentary, that's going to come across as very aggressive. You don't really get the context of that until later in the episode, and the fact that it does flip back and forth was again a little off-putting. I got used to it, but I'm not sure. I think they could have done that a bit better. There have been other series that have done the documentary mockumentary style episodes to better effect, but again, I didn't dislike the episode. It was just a little different than what your normal Strange New Worlds episode.
They might have used that style as a definite style choice because Umberto is rather young. So it might have been more of showing his inexperience. We don't know, was this his first time to do this kind of thing as a reporter? But I kind of felt like that they had done it on purpose like that just to show that he was inexperienced, and he definitely had some growth in the episode. I think, when it finally sunk into him and when Uhura told him, you may think this is how you're handling it, but you're really not. And you showed up here with preconceived notion. You were angry, and you were angry at Starfleet.
That was something that I didn't think about, especially as I'm growing into this field. I'm learning as I go, and he probably put together what he thought was the best product he could, and hopefully he will improve as his career progresses.
One would hope.
He definitely was looking for more juicy bits, especially example when he asked Uhura about her friend that went down on the Cayuga.
I, I thought that was kind of a douche move on his part. By the way, your friend died.
To her credit, Uhura came back and said she died doing what she believed in. She was a member of Starfleet on the mission. And unfortunately, as we've seen, not all missions have a happy ending, and death is always a possibility in space.
There's definitely I think, a nod to Sito from Next Generation. How she redeemed herself, and while she was killed, she was doing what she felt like she believed in.
Absolutely. And the fact that Starfleet officers put themselves in harm's way so that the civilian population that isn't trained for this kind of stuff doesn't have to do it speaks volumes to their character. The fact that they will, in some cases, knowingly go to their death in order to protect their ship, their crewmates, the people on various planets. That's very telling about the character of Starfleet, in my opinion.
Well, I think Uhura said it best, that Starfleet doesn't make us, we make Starfleet.
That is definitely one of the best lines out of the episode.
But all in all, it was definitely one of those episodes that you kind of need to give you a little bit more background, I think, into how things work. Especially if you're coming to Star Trek, as a novice and you didn't grow up with it like I did. I was original series is where I started, and I've seen every Star Trek just about. So it was nice. It's been really nice to see that background. That we're getting to see more of the background, and I hope they continue with this style of show instead of some of the things that Prodigy. I mean, I understand it's a children's show, but that just didn't interest me at all.
I really like the fact that Strange New Worlds concentrates on all of the bridge crew as opposed to the big three from TOS, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. It gives everyone a little bit of background. Everyone gets some screen time, though we didn't get to see Scotty this episode. I'm definitely liking the fact that it's not just the big three. Everyone's got their place in the story. Everyone's getting some backstory as the series progresses. And it's very interesting to see where they all started in the first season and where they are now.
Absolutely, and I'm really enjoying seeing the interpersonal relationships more than we have in a lot of the previous shows. I like that they are having Spock have interpersonal relationships as opposed to the way that he was portrayed in the original series of almost an animalistic, mating season. And I think Luan was a good choice for that.
Well, that's our review and observations for What is Starfleet? Let us know what you thought about the episode in the comments below.
Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you the next time.